Gen, ori băga zombie ca să lege povestea pentru următorul Call of Duty. Cred. La zombie.
Unu, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ce panorama asta o să... Electro-contactiu. Păi dacă e gras.
Bă, nu cred, mă. Bată-l norocul de pulă nostru ăla. Again Arab money.
Checking out the gaff, we can't use the lake because this albidi is refusing to share, suffering from only child syndrome.
Absolutely.
Oh my god.
Not even the FBI can take my lake from me.
But observing her, it
We're
becomes
getting
clear that she's
Arab
really into
money.
her Jack, our friend, appears to be a very superstitious lady. So I refrained from an FBI-authorized homicide and decided to find a voodoo doll that could scare her away. We're going to use the power of voodoo to help us steal the right to use that lake. This mission is what we in the business call padding, a tactic this game.
What you need?
But we'll get to that later. In this case, we can forgive it
Da.
because finding the
Foarte mare logică a avut, dar e ok. E ok. Că așa e logica la cod.
A shop used to purchase various upgrades for York and his skateboard from firepower to acceleration. It is a decent system that successfully integrates the area's culture, charms,
Mai du-te
but
dracu de
sadly, we
player.
don't need any of them because we're already an unstoppable force tearing through every enemy from the beginning to the end with ease, making this whole system
Hai, trăiți neamul cu echipierule.
does have the door we need.
Ai tras și tu dacă e.
Purchasing the doll, we head over to Mrs. Carpenter's house, place it outside, and return to the bowling lane to find it clear as a crisp spring morning.
You really want that? They don't have bowling alleys in the city no more?
All that's left to do is bowl a perfect strike.
You suck at this game. Mă, copii.
You suck in this game.
Ce, băga mai iar Domination?
No. Ce am reușit? Adică ce ori ales ăștia? Deathmatch.
Am înțeles. De când ai făcut, mă, trecutul un nuke? Să-mi va pula.
De când am mai făcut? De când atunci? Nu mai știu când a fost chiar ultima dată. Da, am făcut eu, dar am 3 nuke-uri.
3 nuke-uri pe ce?
Nu, gen am 3 nuke-uri, gen medalie, că am făcut 3 nucleare.
Nu ai? Bă, parcă știam, îmi ziceai tu că făceai dracu, aproape, făceai și câte 10 nuke-uri. Bine, hai că nu, 10, nu stai. Exagerez.
10 nuke-uri pe dracu, nimeni nu face 10 nuke-uri așa.
Nu, dar tot îmi ziceai tu mie că te jucai mai de mult ăsta, cred că Cold, cred că nu știu dacă era... Cred că era, mă, dar bă, Cold era. Cred că era Cold War.
Și dar bine, stai, pe Cold War am 3 nuke-uri, dar pe Modern Warfare, gen, am mai multe.
Că tot știam că nu știu ce mod ăsta, ce cod, și făceai, bă, uite, să-mi bag pula, uite, nuke. Să mă aproape, făceai aproape în fiecare meci cât un nuke, îmi ziceai. Păi ce era? Păi era pe Modern.
Da, că pe Cold War am numai 3 gen.
Și pe ăla la câte dracu ai pe Modern?
Nu știu, n-am verificat.
Păi
am, că acolo faci 25, e că acolo faci numai 25 de kill-uri și am și pe Vanguard.
Aia oricum ai destule.
Mam, numai pe Black Ops 4, pe ăla nici nu mă risc să fac nuke-uri în pula mea, la ce disperație s acolo.
Nici măcar n-ai făcut o dată un nuke pe ăla?
Pe ăla n-am făcut nuke. Nu.
Nu-mi risc eu sănătatea psihică.
Pula mă în flashbang-ul ăsta, mă.
De ce morți te-ai închis?
countless horrors and sentient evils. A space that portrays the most corrupt version of the locations or people it inhabits. Through special red seas, the barriers between worlds can break down, allowing it to seep through. Given enough time, transport.
Mamă, bă, dar ce nu-mi plac playerii ăștia care dracu joacă cu flash-uri. Ce cancer. Da. Coechipierul mă avantajează în loc să mă avantajeze. Aoleu, trăiți neamul de coechipier. No, bine, mă, uite-te la ăștia cum schimbă spawn-urile, bă, că sunt retardați. Doamne, copilul ăla dă cu râpâdăul ăla, zici că e terminat. Mai dați cu grenade, cu flash-uri, mai dați. Mai dați, că nu reușiți. Normal că mi-a furat direct cu MP5-ul. Where similar styles of fashion are often displayed with bright colors, jester-like outfits, but in relation to deadly combination. Normal, cum dracu să joace cu arma lui? Numai că arma mea știe să joace zdreanța.
Ce omoară și ți arma?
Nu, cu echipierul, mă. Când vede arma mea pe jos repede o și ciordește boschetul.
Păi ce mai armă foarte șmecheră sau?
E ăla, Tech-9-le ăla.
Face vai cât de frumos e, de să-l folosesc și eu. Bă, curat. Hai cu euro, money, paramedic.
They also shout snap every time they die. Also, our arms are gun now, as York said, much like the movie Videodrome.
Zach, I don't even need to say it, do I? This is right out of that movie.
A 1983 cult classic body horror starring James Wood and directed by Dave Cronenberg. It was ahead of its time, releasing as an utter flop financially because audiences just didn't know what the hell to make of it.
Bă, pula, dacă jocul ăsta nu e prea colorat în pula mea, să-l facă un pic mai ca și alea old school. Direct am auzit flashbang-ul, nici bine n-am intrat în mediu, deja aud flashbang, că se dropează.
This isn't exactly what happened to him. I'm not sure if it was an oversight, but instead of the gun merging with his hand, York has a weak forearm and is pointing his fingers like a gun. That is not at all what happened in Videodrome. Midway through this other world,
man. Ăla ce player e ăsta?
Criminal profiler makes a return. The skill York demonstrated in the first game by gathering pieces of evidence.
Ce logică.
This system is expanded with a physical representation of what occurred. We don't just deduce what happened, but rather we get to experience it. Using this technique, we discovered two very important details. For starters, there was a very tall, fashionable woman stood to the side, watching these horrors.
Doamne, bă, cum vine cu căcaturile lui. Na, uite-te și tu cu Marshall-uri. Na. Dar cu echipierea mea e inexistent, mă. Zici că nu e în meci. Na, uite-te și tu cu aia, cât bulan. Deci echipă de căcat am.
Discovered that the murderer was none other than Galena, the victim's own mother.
Flashy clothes, fits, Christmas Iris' mother, Galena Clarkson.
Long start for you.
Now we know who killed Lise. We just need to know why. So armed with his knowledge, he passed the always before entering the final four, arriving in a large assembly. It already expands with what looks like an embryo growing from a tree. Approaching, we discover it's Galena, or a new version born from the sacrifice of her daughter.
The first ritual.
This sheds some light on the purpose of killing. It's some twisted
Doamne,
ritual
bă, dar nimeni nu-l
body
vede.
uses to transform his host. But Galena's confused. At first, gloating about her murder, then when she
Ăla
thinks
joacă
more
cu
about what
nail
she's
gun.
done
Cum să
as
joci
a
cu
mother,
nail
she
gun,
breaks
bă,
down,
omule?
rage that her daughter was harmed, and not appearing aware that it was her fault.
Killed my own baby. Please, you son of a bitch. What did you do to my daughter?
Spinning over, our first boss battle begins against an unborn child, but a big, ugly one, so it's alright, I think. Alright, and before the fighting actually begins, York randomly hits us with some pacifist shit.
Honestly, I'm not one for violence. I'm just going to stand here and die.
My brother in Christ, you just murked half the undead population to get here. Where's this holier than thou shit coming from? You're basically Constantine by this point. Anyway, the upside of fighting a child, it's easy as piss. I don't know if that's a real saying, but that's what it is. I think the problem is that the game expects you to attack the smaller enemies that spawn around, but why would we when you can essentially skip the stage just by focusing on the boss? That said, I'm not going to roast the bosses too hard because they're not a focal point of Deadly Premonition. According to Swery, he didn't even want combat in the franchise at all, but felt it was necessary to sell the experience, particularly to Western audiences. Defeating the first phase, the ritual concludes, and the embryo gives birth to a new form, a twisted beast born of Galena's ambition and ruthlessness.
Da, mă, stai cu sniper, Doamne ferește.
His design is intriguing, like a high elf mixed with Gundyr from Dark Souls. Naturally, they look like they've been pulled from another franchise altogether, but that happened in the first game too, and given this boss battle takes place in a realm between realms, I say go for it, madden that shit up.
Gosh, Hollywood would have been all over you. Although you probably would have been typecast as a gross monster. Kind of heroes always kill.
Dar de unde dracului m-a nimerit așa omul ăla?
To teleport, duplication, and
Ai, ce logică are.
She was quite the menace.
Da, normal. Asta e o logică foarte bună de a omorâ. Da. O bună dată nu că, nici că există.
inside the main office, we find her slumped on the floor, a soul-crushing failure on all fronts.
Anything you say may be used against you in a court of law. That's enough, Zach. She can't hear us anymore. Zach, pardon my language. This case can go fuck itself.
Calling Melvin, we bring Galena to the local.
Sweet spot, like Plushies. It has a 1 in 8,000 chance, supposedly. It's pretty questionable. What if we did keep her? God, we're down to the last 3 puzzles. I think I've sniffed hard. Frozen again. In the beginning of the video, I mentioned something where a shiny wasabi paint is much more difficult to get.
Doamne ferește! Na. Idioții trag după elicopter, bă, dar voi sunteți mai... Doamne, să moară copiii mei dacă nu în pula mea. Cum să tragi după elicopter când ăla trage după voi, mă? Doamne! Doamne, ce idioți, bă, dar ce echipă îmi dă, mă, și ăștia-s Prestige Masteri. No, el e Prestige Master, nu știe să joace. Doamne ferește. Doamne, bă, dar cum mă aude ăla, mă? Băga m-aș pula în armele voastre azi. Bă, dar ce logică are arma? Da, mare logică, mare logică, da. Doamne, ce prostică echipierul, doamne. Doamne.
It's an act of pure dedication, like Altair removing his finger in Assassin's Creed, but on a much larger scale, he's taken bite from an alligator on his back with severe infection. At first, Danny's not on board, thinking it's some kind of joke, a fake test of loyalty.
Wait, Paul, I get it now. You want me to stick it in and then pull it out at the last minute, right? You want to see if I got guts or not, but there's got to be another way.
But whether he's up to the challenge or not, he doesn't have a choice.
Oh, please, sir, don't do this. Just tell me this is a joke, please.
Hard cut to half-naked man playing smooth jazz in a scene that can only be described as a deleted moment from the scene busting out. Episode 2 begins with a return to Leah's present-day routine.
What a terrible book. Anyone else get a chance to hear the Leah's confession?
If you couldn't tell, the Twin Peaks inspiration is all but gone, and in its place, it's slowly switched to True Detective.
The other man, the door.
There's the two timelines, the questionable detective carried out in the south of America.
Ce cu echiparea dată.
Hai să papula. Iar a revenit în pizdă.
Aoleu, ce nu-mi plac playerii ăștia.
But the forested countryside of Greenvale lent itself to this feeling of isolation. It made sense for the wet, wooded
Ai,
motorsport
da
car
pula mea, la tu
factory
prost.
to be empty, or for townfolk to keep to themselves unless attending town
Mamă, ce
meetings
prostii cu
from 9 to
echipierul meu
5
să
in the
bag
evening.
pula în
This sense of
masa.
emptiness, although mostly not intentional, worked within the themes it was trying to convey. A seedy,
Doamne,
suspicious,
ce joacă handicapatul ăla cu
Ikari, on
arma,
the other
bată
hand, it's
Dumnezeu.
vibrant, full of NPCs, and doesn't make sense to feel as lifeless as it does. It's roughly based on New Orleans from the south of America, and there was a decent attempt made to integrate its folklore into the world with Two Dolls alligators, Cajun spice, but the more upbeat sunny atmosphere doesn't lend itself as well to the depressive smoky atmosphere that's first getting cultivated. But back to Aaliyah, this time the focus is on the Greenvale case and why certain details were left out of the report.
Sapling says, I can't think of a single reason why this individual would need to be removed from the report.
And after refusing to offer any concrete details, Zach offers to make them all coffee.
I'll have another cup of coffee. Still got a long way to go.
A task he carries out carefully, demonstrating his continued love for the brew.
This is freaking delicious. I thought I was gonna shit myself.
Doamne,
The
bă,
only
dar ce
interesting
nu...
part from this scene,
Bă,
aside
ce
from Simon
transpirat de
randomly getting the
om, bă,
shits, is the discovery
ferească
that Sang
sfântul,
Rouge
mă.
is being developed and circulated again.
It's Jay's shame.
Doamne, că chipierul ăla n-are țintă, e un chior.
Which means someone's
Doamne,
taken up the mantle
ferește.
all these years later.
Copies of a drug being circulated isn't exactly a rare case.
And on top of that, Patricia, the young girl helping our investigation, she's gone missing.
She's gone missing.
What? And Aaliyah thinks Zach is to blame.
I want to know everything. You tell me the truth.
Yes! You're good, Bill. Yeah! Good. You've got nothing to hide. Go on, question us.
Returning to Lucare, disaster struck. Overnight, Galena
Doi
was
pe o parte,
murdered,
doi pe
dissected,
alta,
and
doi pe...
rearranged in a V shape, all right under the police's nose.
The head and limbs were severed and lined up, according to the lines that were drawn with blood.
She was either being silenced before she could speak, or it was revenge.
Bă, dar ce coechipier retardat, mă, ăsta aruncă grenada lângă mine, mă, dar stai de bou să fii.
Zach,
Oh.
just how deep the Clarksons were involved in this.
And as luck would have it, outside the station, the Clarksons' patriarch decides to pay us a visit anyway. He knows Galena's been murdered, wanting to take her body home. Something that strikes York as strange because the murder's just been discovered. How did PJ know?
We suspect that Galena was murdered by someone from the Clarksons.
Doamne, să-ți iau grenadele în
Danny's back too, and taking one look at him, you
pulă.
can see the previous scene's handiwork. His arm gone. It hasn't deterred him. There's no bitter resentment. He's still loyal as a dog to his stepfather.
Să iau grenadele alea în pulă, bă, ce mă enervează play-ul ăștia care joacă grenadă, 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 grenadă.
Exchange over, rather than being intimidated, York is ecstatic. He can't get enough of PJ.
They're phenomenal at it. So perfectly rude, ominous, foul-mouthed insults.
Anyway, we have 2 missions to carry out, and both are the epitome of padding. Not only that, but each padding mission has padding missions within their padding missions. Insert exhibit wheels in your wheels bin. Take the task of speaking with Chuck. Reaching the objective, the road's blocked by a train. To get over it, we need to jump a ramp. But when we try, our beloved board breaks. This forces us to run all the way to Emma's, which is on the other side of town. Thankfully, by this point, you'll have unlocked fast travel. Unlike the first game where we had to complete the super secret and complex side mission for George,
Which do you prefer, mustard or hot sauce?
we unlock fast travel for free at the end of episode 1 upon returning to our hotel. Drifting into our lives with a souped-up sports car, Raven offers to take us anywhere we want for
Să mai rămân multe lucruri, dar nu suntem la fel. For t-shirts, like I said before, you get a t-shirt for every single plushie that you win. You also get a t-shirt for getting off when this finger was almost touching the green line. But you can do whatever works best for you. These plushies, so I'm having plushie. 4 hours of gameplay until I figure. I looked online, trying to find solutions. I found out that this plushie was put too far to play, and instead of having a 1 in 300 chance of hitting a sweet spot like all the other plushies, it has a 1.
idea. And on 3 at the end of it, you'll have unlocked fast travel. Unlike the first game where we had to complete a super secret and complex side mission for George.
Which do you prefer, mustard or hot sauce?
We unlocked fast travel for free at the end of episode 1, returning to our hotel. Drifting into our lives with a souped-up sports car, ready to take us anywhere we want for a small fee.
I drive my customers to wherever they want to go. Once we get there, they pay me.
Doamne, bă, cu echipierul ăsta. Doamne, ce nu-mi place să joc în echipă, în pula mea. Când e unul mort în cadă și nu știe să joace.
Ai făcut joci de match.
Ha?
Ai făcut joci de match.
Nu, e Domination acum.
Da, acum e Domination.
Da, da, ăsta e pe lângă, mă, ăsta nu știe să joace, ăsta e retardat. Dar în loc să mă ajute, mă dezavantajează în pula mea. Nu știu ce pula mea, dar cu echipieri am prins, sau prins, cu echipieri am prins, să mor eu. Să uită la el, zici că e...
Iisus Hristos.
Păi și eu ce pula mea să-i fac la ăla când văd că dă cu 7 rachete după mine, mă? N-am ce să-i fac. Uite și tu, na. Ponurile stricate. Ăla stă la spawn shield. Nu mai zic nimic. Da, cu echipierul meu, în loc să mă ajute, el fuge. Așa. Asta e Call of Duty. Deci dacă faci reverse boosting, toată lumea softică. Când văd așa infecții din astea care nu știu să joace logică, mă apuc de reverse. Atâta Dumnezeu. Da. Uite-te și tu la pe echipier. Nici măcar un kill nu face. Oh. Doamne ferească Sfântul. Da. Doamne, are trophy system, serios.
Perch the wind, we speak to Tyrone, get a quest from God, a fetch quest from God.
Doamne, cu echipierele punem și tu un checkpoint, mă, să știu dacă l-ai omorât sau nu. Bată-vă Dumnezeu pe amândoi. Dar cu ce, bă? Dar cu ce dă, mă, omul?
That's not what I took from that cryptic message, but that's the task. Running around town, searching every vending machine, hoping we find what we're looking for.
I think we've got the wrong vending machine.
It's not until we check a machine at the back right of town that we find the elusive.
Mersi, coechipierule. Mersi, coechipierule. Ești de mare ajutor. Mi-ai furat kill-ul. Mulțumesc. Oh.
They serve as little more than filling time to stretch the gameplay out to a main tradition and come back online. And it's not just the main missions that suck. This lack of effort leads into every side quest, which are at best comparable to generic generic MMO fodder. They never claim to be a
Da coaie, bă, Subway mai vine altul.
Oh, după 1000 de ani la căcatul ăsta. Hai să nu bag pula în sfârșit. L-am luat pe pedofilul. Diamante. Am luat pe pușa pulii. Am luat pe pușa pedofilă. Pișa m-aș păie să mă piși. Mai avem
uite-te și tu la ăsta, bă.
3.
Bă, ăsta nu-l urmărește nimeni. Pe mine mă urmăresc 100. Doamne. Da. Bineînțeles, cu echipierul meu nimic nu face. Normal. E un fel de ritual.
One quest, for example, requires us to find 20 hidden emblems across Lucara. These ones, which are apparently called fleur de lis. This shook me to my core, because those are called Saint Rose symbols around my parts. There are 20 to find, spread all across Lucara, and after tracking them down, one by one, going back to Lewis, the Gravekeeper, what's our reward? A profound necklace, an item that increases our gunpowder, but reduces our reload speed by 3, meaning we reload like this. And the real kicker, all they've done here was slow down your global animation speed, which means if you get attacked while reloading, that too happens in slow motion. It's beautiful. Oh, but the necklace isn't all. We also get another 20 fleur de lis to find. This repeats 5 times. There are 5 sets of 20. Complete them all, and we get to hold 10 more items in our already very large inventory. As I keep alluding to, this game loves wasting your time. Aside from the bullshit fetch quests, another great example is the first time you try to shower. Because throughout this investigation, Luke will find himself getting smelly, causing people to cover their noses, flies to float around you, and money to be periodically deducted from your account. Smelly boy tax, so to speak. This means that at some point, you'll need to head home and shower, only to discover that it's broken. And if you want to fix it, we need to speak to the concierge, who's only around at midday, which means you'll have to wait around for hours to talk to him. Do that,
Bă, dar uite-te ce slabi echipa mea cu aici. Aia au prestige master în echipă.
But it's still not fixed, so we speak to him again, where he claims only the bellboy can fix it. Someone that's only around in the evening, which means more money spent waiting around.
Na, poftim,
And
na.
after chatting to the bellboy and
El
turning a
tot
second
timpul mă
valve, it
omoară, bă,
still
dar
doesn't
tot
work.
timpul.
So
Eu
as a
dacă îi dau, nu
bellboy,
moare.
wait around to talk to the chef. Of course, you can call him at any time to order food, but you can't ask about the valve. No, we have to wait for his time slot in the morning, after which we turn a third valve, and finally we're able to shower. A dog shit series of objectives that resulted in me not only losing the thousands I had gathered,
Da,
but
coaie,
in fact,
regenerează-ți
plunging to
viața,
death,
caracterule,
starving
coaie.
because I had to wait so long with no ability to buy food.
Doamne, ce greu regenerăm viața să mor eu.
Is just like real life. Anyway,
Dar bine că la alții le faceți ca lumea regenerarea.
and finally wrap things up. What's our reward, Pastor?
Our Lord still hunger. One anaconda skin, one squirrel tail, and one pressed white dwarf.
3 more fucking fetch quests.
Dar coaie, că ce-o dat?
This was the moment I stopped playing Deadly Premonition 2
Normal.
for nearly a year. I thought it was a joke, that we'd step outside and you would say, screw this, I have better things to do. But no, it's legitimate.
Part of me just wants to say to hell with you. Go have a smoke.
And somehow they managed to make this objective even more bullshit than the first. Like for starters, the game can't even keep track of its own requests because the pastor only asked for one of each item.
One anaconda skin, one squirrel tail.
But we actually need 6 of each.
Dar normal, bă, că ăla stă camp acolo, bă, și nu-l vede nimeni. Păi de ce pula mea să-l vadă cineva? Păi de ce? Cine pula mea să-l vadă? Că toată echipa mea e chioară, stă în pula mea pe mijloc și nimic nu fac.
And the objective offers no clue to help our investigation. So you can easily run around for hours speaking to everyone, searching every
Numai să fure kill, știe. Numai să fure kill, știe.
that the Gora can't be found until we've gathered the first 2 items. Why even give us the objective now if it literally cannot be done? Okay, no worries. The snakes, well, I haven't encountered any snakes yet. I guess I'll spend hours running around the park trying to find one. Rob, what are you dumb as well exactly? Slack, there are no snakes in Lucari. No, we've got to run to a park near the church and use our detective vision to find the skins scattered on the ground. That was intuitive, don't mind me. I'm just hanging a noose on a branch.
Found it, Zach. An anaconda skin.
I've gathered we get a cutscene where York realizes he should speak to the concierge at Casapine to see if he knows where we can find the flower.
Perhaps we better go ask our well-informed concierge for help.
And chatting with David, he says, hey, I don't know about that, maybe the bellboy. And after waiting for the bellboy, he says, I don't know, maybe the chef will know. And this is the exact same time-wasting mission as the shower-fixing mission.
Da, nu-mi place să joc în pula mea în Newton, că stă unul sus și numai să plimbă pe acolo sus. Uite că la asta. Mai are multe artilerii din alea. Da, mai are multe.
Anyway, with everything gathered, including our elusive flower, we can finally return to the church. And don't worry, there isn't another fetch quest. Instead, we get a powerful new artifact, one to reward our suffering, a homemade drum set.
Take this, my lamb, and let it serve.
And I'll spoil something for you here, just to emphasize the point. Get real close to the mic here. This drum kit does nothing, not once. It's not silly, it's not cute. This game hates you. In fairness, the mission wasn't entirely worthless. Stepping outside, York reveals that he found a note on the floor.
By pure chance, Zach and I happened to acquire this.
A prescription for the fashionable woman whose name is Helena.
Our next stop is that stylish woman's house. Her name is Helena Doman. Apparently, she lives in this town.
Cine hai că ne auzim mâine.
Hai, ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Noapte bună.
Noapte bună.
Therapy to transition from male to female.
Adding this is a prescription for a female hormone patient.
With their address, we have another lead. So we skate over and arriving at the front gate, we find a lavish estate, pillars lining the entrance, and that dual chimney burner special.
Seems like she ain't home.
Vreau să mi-au pus albastru, că este cel mai enervant și important de aici de luat. Și vreau să-l iau. Și eu îl voi lua. Stau aici și până la 12 minute doar în pulă. Îl iau.
Professor R's never home, you know.
Realizing no one's home, there's more talk about Lena and their chosen gender, where it's revealed that everyone in Lucare swallowed the red pill.
Daddy said it's stupid for a man to want to turn into a woman.
What?
Other folks in town said the same thing as Dad.
12-year-olds worldwide report this town based, something that outrages York, who instantly cancels all of Lucare.
A person's birthplace, nature, race, and physical features have no bearing on their value as a human being. We're always free, and we should respect each other just the way we are. So you shouldn't feel the need to hate Lena for no reason, no matter what the people around you say. You can't let them control you. Sometimes things like common sense and feelings can end up deeply hurting other people. I sincerely hope you don't forget that.
It's a touch on the nose and makes me think there was some overcompensation for deadly premonitions, slightly less than favourable depiction of transgenders. You filthy pig! Not that having York champion Lena went down well, because after its release, there was anger over some of the game's misgendering and dead naming of Lena throughout, resulting in Swery apologising and patching out some dialogue.
But if Lena's committed a crime, that's a different story altogether.
Before leaving her estate, though, we get a new oracle, one that guides us to a local bar.
Let's go to that jazz bar and have a drink while we consider our next plan of action.
Heading over to the Owl's Nest, we head inside, and after ordering a drink, we see a sign appear on the TV directing us to the Clarkson's estate.
I think someone's trying to send us a very powerful message.
But before hopping on our board, we get a surprise visit from the fashionista herself, Ray. is the color of life. Fixing us a drink, they're pretty candid about their motivations, laying everything out on the table without much push from York. I experienced far more scorn and discrimination than anyone could ever imagine, especially from my father. This is why Lena is determined to destroy the Clarkson family. She was one of them before leaving after years of abuse. PJ is their father. Lena is the lost son that Chuck was talking about earlier.
Well, ever since he went home, his whole family's gone straight down the ship.
Plans outlined, all of a sudden, things get dizzy.
Oh, Zach, someday, even your best friend will abandon you.
Lena's an expert chemist, and we've fallen into her trap.
Zach and I will always be together.
Waking up, time is of the essence. We know Lane is about to do something awful, so we rush to the Clarksons to intervene. And this is where not having a car sucks. It's meant to be a dramatic scene speeding across country to foil whatever evil plan is unfolding, and it doesn't have quite the same impact moving along on our little skateboard.
We need to head to the Clarksons at once before it's too late. We can still stop this.
Eventually arriving, their home is a sprawling Southern-style manor house. It reminded me of the Shady Bell estate from Red Dead Redemption 2. Calvin's home in Django Unchained, it looks like a slave trader runs. That's what we're all thinking. That's the type of house it is.
I miss you, like I miss the rock in my cheek.
Entering, there's no interior to explore. We're instantly faced with another portal, and stepping into the other world for a second time, you'll be greatly disappointed to discover it's the exact same. Here are the two side by side, the sugar plantation and the mansion. They are identical despite taking place in completely different locations. In the first game, we would have a chance to explore each area and familiarize ourselves before seeing it twist into its evil rendition. I mean, look at Greendale Hospital. Arriving, we make our way to the mall, walking through the many hallways and empty rooms with the space that almost appears excessive. But after examining the body and making our way out, we find the hospital transformed. The same hall we just explored have become corrupt and filled with monsters. It's a clever flip.
Zach, they're here.
If over quirkiness and time wasting were the biggest flaws of the sequel, the other world is the biggest downgrade.
Here we go again, Zach. You're as excited as I am, aren't you?
Fighting through, a new enemy emerges. Appearing at first as a giant door, it turns to reveal another masquerade-style creature into destruction. This is the Pantalone, another name borrowed from the Commedia dell'arte. It's based on a character known for its exceptional greed and high-ranking status. The name Pantalone even being known as money in the Commedia world. When they're backs to us, they're almost bulletproof, taking massively reduced damage, although if you aim just right, their promiscuous little ankles can be shot. They only have one mode of attack, shaking their chains to drop blocks that spring into life and chase us down. These are two variations, the first being a spine attack that leaves us poisoned, and the other being an explosive tracker. And bearing all this in mind, it's likely this easily represents PJ, a powerful man with lots of money, in a manner of speaking, holds the keys to every door in the car. Not only that, but on his own, he's relatively weak. Instead, he's hired muscle and keep people in line, just like the Pantalone that has to summon locks to handle its dirty work. There's a couple of forensic investigations at the midway point, where we find Lena holding PJ a gun.
The legacy of the Clarksons is like a sad vestige of what it used to be.
Not only does she have the drop on him, but there's even an explosive device in the fireplace as a failsafe. One way or another, Lena will have her revenge.
You're just as dumb as everyone else. You never see things for how they really are. Take my life. You can have it. Whatever you want to be. Don't you forget. Just Clarkson blood you got running through those veins.
And another encounter comes from a chat with PJ Mirror in the
You're surprised. This is my house.
Don't ask me how this is happening. I don't even think the game knows, but what becomes clear is that the Clarksons didn't have anything to do with Ghislaine's death. It wasn't revenge like we thought. In fact, PJ is disturbed by the whole ordeal.
This is... Why would any soul ever need to line up a stump so deep like this? It ain't nothing like what we got up to back in my day. Kinda feels like what you call your evil
Conversations over, we pass through the hallways and eventually find ourselves face to face with Lena's demon.
Life must be sacrificed. Blood purge. Blood purge.
Its first stage is exactly the same as the last boss, and after bullying the shit out of it, Lena's true form's revealed, taking the shape of a human merged with a dragonfly, similar to Alexia's mutated form in Code Veronica.
I need to purify this corrupt blood for the one I love most.
The dragonfly is the family symbol. That aspect is obvious, but similar to Lena, who shed her previous form, the dragonfly also employs a similar life cycle as they transform into their true shape and appearance. So maybe this form not only represents the family Lena was part of, but the cycle of change and rebirth that caused so much tension throughout her life.
You will impede us no longer. You're always so smug. Oh, how I hate you.
Of course, as standard, she's all bark, no bite.
If you kill me, no one will be left to tell you about the plan.
Beast destroyed, we arrive in the real world dining room, finding PJ's thugs dead and Lena crouched above him.
Lena, let go. If I let go, the bomb in the fireplace will explode.
Lena's furious, hating her father and claiming that the Clarkson family must be cleansed, alluding to some greater purpose.
It'll give me the ending I've always dreamed of.
And surprisingly, PJ isn't angry. No matter what, Lena's still PJ's child, and he loved them regardless.
I always knew there was something special inside you.
Regardless of the fact that Lena was apparently shagging her own sister.
I also know that you had any cause with your older sister.
Yeah, I know, whiplash of a reveal. I did not see that coming. Bro dropped a Game of Thrones twist like it was nobody's business. But this level of empathy appears to shake Lena. For a moment, it seems as if they could begin resolving their hatred to prevent any more tragedy befalling the family. But her hatred ran too deep.
Love you from the bottom of my heart.
I said shut up. No, stop. Patricia Clarkson.
Detonating the bomb, the two are obliterated, with viscera dripping from every surface and both their heads being mounted on the chandelier in almost comical fashion.
Paul!
A sight that causes Danny to completely break down.
Oh. Shit!
Other than the explosive drama, the last words out of Lena's mouth were extremely interesting.
Patricia Clarkson.
She says Patty's name, but not Patricia Woods. She calls her a Clarkson, something York chooses to completely ignore despite the very obvious implications, and on cue, she calls us over the radio.
Agent York?
Where's Melvin?
He won't answer me. And he ain't at the sheriff's office either. You think he got caught up in some kind of trouble?
Melvin's missing, meaning this case just went from 0 to 100 in the space of 5 minutes.
Patty, I need someone at the Clarkson's house ASAP. You should also call an ambulance, just in case.
At the police station, we meet Patty and try our best to reassure her, claiming we'll do everything in our power to find Melvin, and even inviting her to stay in our hotel room in the meantime.
How about staying with me in my room until we find them?
And why would you at 30 think it would be okay to hang out with a 13-year-old girl home alone?
As always, we need to arrange the day's evidence, so we head to Casa Pineapple, and after checking on an exhausted Patty,
I feel like this case is heading in a direction that will be extremely unpleasant for her. I've never felt anything like this.
we reflect on the Lena situation.
Lena had intercourse with her older sister. This means there's still one more person out there who inherited PJ's blood.
Chapter complete, there's another jazz interlude, followed by a short clip out on the bayous. Zooming into a boat, we discover a large, immobile woman crying like a baby. Could this be the goddess of fertility, the person Lena constantly referenced? Or just maybe this is the sick wife Melvin told us about? The only thing we can assert with confidence is that this whole episode was ultimately York running around doing a whole lot of nothing.
This is nothing but a shameless fetch quest.
Starting episode 3 in the other world, through Zach's perspective, we see a crib and hear a baby crying out.
Someone stop that noise.
Crawling forward and looking inside, it's filled with bubbling blood, and leaning closer, it splashes in Zach's face. causing him to splutter in animalistic fashion as this substance reverts him to a more primitive form, with sickly pale skin and prominent dark veins covering his face. Returning to Aaliyah's interrogation, after some back and forth over why she started this investigation in the first place,
It was an anonymous tip. Did we hit the nail on the head, Bell?
York stands up to search for some paper to write on, loses his balance and falls to the ground, knocking his coffee cup in the process.
It's a sign.
A spill that forms a dragonfly and a large footprint. A subtle sign that causes Zack to have a revelation.
The Red Soul has the power to amplify the unique characteristics we all possess.
But instead of sharing this revelation with the group, he requests some help to the toilet so he can take his medication.
Sure. It's in the bathroom, right?
En route, Zack apparently gets lightheaded and he takes a nap in a bed conveniently set up in the bathtub.
It happened to have a blanket and a pillow in it.
What? But why?
A bizarre arrangement that piques Aaliyah's curiosity, because if Zack is sleeping in the tub, what's his bedroom being used for? Entering, it's a shrine to the Lucare case. There's a board filled with all the details, and more disturbingly, a series of mannequins are arranged to represent Lise and Galena.
Where's Patricia?
It's a sight that disturbs Aaliyah, and turning around, Zack is waiting, looking deranged before a dip to black. Returning to 2005, Aaliyah's fate's unknown, but for now, we're back investigating the crime scene where Lise was found.
Zack, this is the point where it all collapses.
By this act, it feels like everything was falling apart. Not for York and his investigation, but for Swery and the game's direction. It's like they had no idea where to bring the case, so we just return to the same crime scene and invent a new hypothesis.
These red seeds keep sticking out to me. But we need to figure out what's going on with this altar before we focus on anything else.
There are a few key discoveries though, most notable of which is the cut grass and position of the altar to the river.
Everything was planned so meticulously, as if she wanted to show this altar to someone.
We know it means something, but it's not until Chuck pulls up to roast us that we realize what that is.
Exactly how stupid are you, FBI? Every fella in town already knows that Professor Orr's the one behind all this shit.
Hey, Chuck, can you see the altar from there?
I'd see the whole damn thing.
This location was selected for one reason, to allow the body to be viewed from a boat on the water. And while that doesn't mean much to York, we know from the end of the previous chapter that a larger mobile woman is residing in a raft.
It was built here so that the ritual could be watched from a boat in the bayou.
Mulling this over, before we demonstrate a second's worth of autonomy, we hear Hoongon's little giggle from the water. What? Did you think York could do any actual detective work? Hell no. This is an on-the-rails investigation. Time for another oracle.
The giant lady's finger points down toward your goal. Entrance to the forbidden.
Ladies' fingers means a knout to us, so we can either check out the town's main water supply or go look at some trees.
The only 17 comrades that would have been around back then are the 300-year-old oak trees along this road.
And while both are almost too enticing, I decided to start with the water tower.
Agent York, look! I think we can climb up from there.
knows all about childhood trauma. That's the reason he exists. So naturally, he wants to protect Patty, to shield her from the horrors he experienced as a child.
Remember that, okay?
Heart to heart over, we notice that the water level in the tank is running low.
Zach, it looks like the holy Allah hasn't been sucking up water properly.
So on the assumption that fixing it's part of the oracle, we skate over to the water reservoir and find the pump controls.
The water level's higher than I expected.
There's only one path to reach it, but when we head to cross, Gators attack. They're grossly oversized and charge right at us off the rip, resulting in a battle for the ages. After cruising past, at the end, a tense cutscene plays that in no way represents how chill York is.
Open the door, Patty.
Shooting out a Croc's eye, in the last second, we dive into the control center as the injured predator slinks away. And I was convinced that this was setting up a revenge story arc, like Happy Gilmore. But we never see it again, which is a shame. Dinosaur revenge arc will go hard.
Okay, Zach, let's head back to the holy Allah. We need to confirm with our own eyes that we've completed the skeletal gentleman's oracle.
Water levels restored, we return to the tower and see our handiwork in action.
Looks like we'll be able to take a warm, invigorating shower tonight.
We are the town's unsung hero, in the most literal sense. Absolutely no one gives a shit that we done this. All we get is abuse hurled from below.
Y'all get down from there right now!
It's Danny. He's drunk and he blames us for his family woes.
He came here to destroy the Clarksons.
But in place of pity, York has some words of advice.
You'll no longer be able to borrow a certain someone's power and march around like you own this town. You need to accept that and prepare to survive.
God damn it.
The second oracle sees us investigating Memorial Oak Street.
Long before the Clarksons built up their town, these trees were here.
A quiet suburb where we discovered 2 trees are missing, having been cut down by a general many years prior.
A general from the south might have cut one down during the Civil War. Folks say he planted a red tree in its place.
And while looking over their stump, we get a surprise visitor, a Dalmatian. But not any old Cruella de Vil Dalmatian. This is Willie, Forrest Cayson's dog. For those that don't remember, Cayson was the main antagonist of the first game, a traveling sapling salesman who was working to spread the otherworld's corruption via red seeds, a man we ended up killing in the game's finale. Of course, at this point, York has no idea who this dog serves, but clearly it wants us to follow him.
Change of plans, Patty. Let's go on a little stroll with that Dalmatian.
So, as we done in the first game, we follow Willie all around town, except this chase is several times longer and doesn't have a sick rap track to break up the monotony. Not only that, but Willie runs slower than our sprint, faster than our walk, and the same speed as the second slowest acceleration on the skateboard. It is the worst. And after an agonizing while spent following him round the block, where does he bring us? Why, to the red tree we just passed to clear the water moments ago, and it's not even the tree we're looking for.
Is this the red tree that General planted?
No way! This is a maple tree.
So we get back on the road, and eventually we arrive at a second tree. Nearly half the map away, and shock twist, it's still the wrong tree.
And there's no way that this is a descendant of the tree that the General planted.
So we're back on the road again. Oh, and for good measure, now Willie will start randomly looping around trees. And randomly dipping into gardens to have a little stroll. It's almost like this game was a practical joke to see how much people are willing to put up with. Like at one point, there's a river blocking our way, and despite a bridge being mere inches away, the dog decides to swim across, which is fine. Dogs do be swimming. So we skate around and have to wait on the other side while he slowly paddles across at the slowest dawdle a dog can swim. I can't understand why you would purposefully make a mission this unenjoyable. They literally took a mission that already existed and said, how do we make this as boring, drawn out and frustrating as possible, and they called it a day. What point does that serve? And this isn't an issue of patience, it's just terrible game design. Trust me, I'm a patient guy. I completed Kojima's patented UPS delivery simulator not once, but twice within 1 year. Not even for a video, just because I found it therapeutic. I have no problem running places. This is just a shit show.
Zach, now this is interesting.
Anyway, eventually, we reach the real red tree. Bit of a tongue twister there. And you f***ing guessed it. There's nothing there. It doesn't progress the plot in any way. The dog disappears, and there's a moment where Paddy wants to touch the tree, but that's it.
I promise to protect you from all the evil in our world. Do not touch this tree.
And you won't believe what happens next. Patricia realizes she knows where the giant finger is.
You know that's another name for okra, right? Just follow me. I reckon I know where we're supposed to go.
She knew all along, we just never asked her.
You never asked? Oh, of course. I forgot that's the way it works.
So we start following her halfway around the map yet again. Are you happy? You, the viewer. Dozens of comments every month. Deadly Premonition 2 when? This is why I left it a year. How do I analyze this? What do you want me to break down, aside from my fucking psyche? After another mind-numbing tour of town, we arrive at Lucare's main bridge, where the final oracle reveals itself in the form of this billboard.
This is the giant lady's finger. Okra boy.
And just beneath it sits the bridge control room, containing a panel with its electrics rewired to serve a new purpose. But to turn it on, we need a passcode.
Password that requires 3 letters?
Finally, something to challenge us mentally. We need a 3-letter code with 3 H's marking the first letter, and according to York, it has something to do with the case. So maybe if we refer to our investigation board, we could. He just spells it.
It's got to be C-O-H, starting from the left in that order.
About 1 minute after telling us to figure out the code, York solves it and tells us the answer. Why even bother?
That oracle really sent us on a roundabout mission this time. It almost feels like we're playing a video game here. Talk about stupid.
Door unlocked, we enter a wooded area where day turns to night. As expected, this causes more enemies to invade, covering the rolling hills with a new addition.
Are you in pain?
The Colombinas. The final character reference from the Commedia dell'arte. This time, a comedic servant playing the tricky slave type, an intellectual character that's often portrayed with a promiscuous proclivity, something we see portrayed with this enemy and their zesty groans. Being in their shade form, it's hard to get a good look at their appearance. All I know is Shakira, that red mist don't lie. There's several of them in the area, and we need to kill them all before entering a small shack at the far end. And once inside, the location's importance becomes instantly clear.
Zach, I think we found a laboratory.
It's Lena's lab, the same location she researched and developed San Rouge, with the assistance of none other than Forrest Kaysen.
She didn't create San Rouge until after she met this person.
Reading her journal, we discover concerns about someone she refers to as the Fool King, and their potential to stop her plans.
My only worry now is P. I only pray the Fool King can stop him. Zach, it looks like we've uncovered yet another new character. Who's the Fool King?
There's even a third bombshell revelation. Lena and the as-of-yet unknown sister bore a child during their twisted romance.
And apparently, they had a daughter. The Clarkson's family tree is far more complicated than I could have imagined.
You can say that again.
Now, what I find annoying is that all these revelations happen so suddenly. They're shoved in right at the end of an episode with no build-up, making it hard to appreciate them. Why not replace all the wasted time with slowly piecing together evidence? Instead, the game moves at a snail's pace, right up until the chapter end, where it rushes through several plot points at breakneck speed, making each revelation cheap and meaningless. Like the constant whiplash at the end of every chapter had me looking like that crash-proof mock-up by the end of the game.
It appears that Lena's worried about whether or not the Fool King will be able to stop our investigation and successfully murder this P character.
Standing over the desk, trying to piece this puzzle together, we're attacked from behind.
Oh.
No, don't kill him!
Waking up sometime later, Patty's gone, and the pennies finally dropped for York.
Patty. Now it all makes sense.
So with evidence to organize, we return to Casa Pineapple, where finally York lays the Clarkson mystery to rest.
That's right. Candy had intercourse with Lena. Then she gave birth to a child. a child that we know very well.
Patty is the inbred child of Candy and Lena, a disturbing revelation that explains Lena's fixation, but means Melvin is clearly up to no good.
It feels like the missing puzzle pieces are all falling into place now.
We have no leads to go off though, so all we can do is head to the local cafe and enjoy a nice cup of liquid sunshine.
Would it be possible to get an especially pungent cup?
And whilst indulging oneself, we're haunted by a vision, a crime underway, with Patty being attacked by Melvin.
No, Melvin. No!
This causes York to lunge forward. He's still trapped.
Hai de pula mea la joc.
Shazam calls to Zack and demands reinstatement.
I need you. Give me strength.
Pushing the planks off, he rushes to Patty and pulls her from the wreck, leaving Candy and Melvin to reap what they sowed.
I love my family from the bottom of my heart. You and your mama.
Me too. I love you with all my heart, Daddy.
But before the fire consumes them, Melvin gets a vision.
Oh, really? So, it's all okay?
The plan hasn't failed after all. It's all playing out exactly how she envisioned. The plan was never to empower Candy or Melvin. It was to cleanse the line for Patty. A potentially touching scene capped off with one last quote from Melvin.
The worst father graced with the sweetest daughter. Life can be a bitch sometimes. Okay, here we go. But it wasn't all bad.
Now, with all this evidence lying around, you might be wondering why the FBI had no idea about Melvin or Candy. But don't worry, this game wouldn't leave any loose ends lying around, would it? After one final dose of jazz, through a series of slides, the game says, oh yeah, Hurricane Katrina came through and washed the evidence away.
She washed all that away. Every last trace.
This is how the game justifies York's investigation being halted for over a decade. Sadly, that's also the end of the cultish, ritualistic plotline. The ritual of rebirth is kind of ditched at this point, and it never seemed to really reach its climax. It just kind of fizzled out. Katrina literally washed that plotline away.
She washed all that away.
The final episode begins with Zack wandering through the other world, where after a short while, he comes face to face with Forrest Kaysen. Attacking Kaysen, we return to Boston to find Zack strangling Aaliyah in a delusional animalistic state.
Hey, let her go! What the hell's gotten into you?
Hitting each other with the waltz, the two dance back and forth for a while. Until Simon bonks Zack on the head.
Jeez, are you okay?
And after getting Aaliyah a shot for rabies, they restrain Zack and resume their investigation, inspecting the bed and discovering a dead rat with a sapling sprouting from its stomach.
What is this?
Which is the same method of killing utilized by Forrest Kaysen.
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
Disgust aside, there's another problem.
This is bad.
An alert on Simon's phone and an answer as to who kidnapped Patricia.
Avery Smith kidnapped Patricia Clarkson and escaped.
It was Avery. He's taken Patty and he's on the run.
Avery Smith? Why would he kidnap Patricia?
Something Simon only knew because Zack told him.
Why would you trust him?
I don't. I just decided it was worth investigating, that's all.
After arguing over Simon's sneaky behavior, they focus attention on where Avery might have fled when Zack wakes up and chimes in.
I know how to find him. I should be able to see the other world the way I am now.
His connection to the other world was lost when York left him. Since then, without his borderline paranormal abilities, he's been unable to solve any cases. But now, being so close to death, the barriers are breaking down. He can see the other side again, a power he wants to utilize to help find Patty.
Through allowing the cancer cells to ravage my body, I regained the power to travel to the other side.
It's not until Zack tells Simon to check a nearby bin that we finally win him over.
Look inside that trash can. Ask Aaliyah Davis. Ask her about the name of the person who tipped her off. You're from Chicago. And you love pizza, right? Especially deep dish pizza, smothered in cheese. Pizza will never betray you.
Big twist, it was Zack that gave Aaliyah the tip-off, kickstarting this whole investigation. It was all in La Pizza the whole time.
How could you have known that I would come here with her?
I didn't.
Obviously, this reveal makes no sense at all and has a bunch of plot holes, but why even try and make sense of it when through Zack's own admission, the plan only worked by pure luck?
I just bet on you.
And while they're distracted, with the fairy's assistance, York escapes and pins down Leah, not to hurt her, just to plead his case.
Just trust in the pizza. I'm the anonymous tipper. FK.
Pizza will never betray me.
Pizza?
With a new lease on life, we fly south, back to where this case first started, the coal storage warehouse.
York. It's almost time.
Thankfully, we have the exact same inventory from our investigation in Lucare 14 years ago, although I probably wouldn't eat the food.
Fantastic.
Anyway, I was excited. Time to explore a frozen version of the nightmare. Finally, some variety, and after stepping through the portal, it's the same fucking hallway. Reaching the luxury good level, we find the remnants of the altar Avery created for Lise, and we hear the agony he felt over her passing. Another thing to note is his grotesque, giant, lumpy form.
I finally found the 10-foot-tall giant.
Avery was the giant all along. It's just that he used San Rouge to get really super duper tall. Credit where credit's due, the Avery reveal is the only twist that has any kind of foreshadowing. Aside from his weird behavior towards Patty at the start.
Please.
Speaking with Avery throughout the game, he's the only other person able to see the red shades at night, which at the time allowed him to dish out combat missions for us, but now can be explained by his microdosing of San Rouge. Inside the lab, we're instantly greeted by a mannequin display. It's a twisted shrine to Lisa's beauty, and a few feet in front of it, we find Avery, looking like a ballsack on steroids.
It's not too late for you, Avery. Turn yourself in.
It's not too late. Zach, mate, you're talking to a monster right now. That dude's a Resident Evil villain. I think it might be too late.
No one use me.
As you'd expect, he's not backing down, smashing into a tank of San Rouge and getting that vein strength.
No one cared who I was.
Slowly stepping towards us, the final battle begins. And aside from his shoulder charges and jump attacks,
Crush your ball.
He's always showing up at my parties and stealing the spotlight and the girls.
the lad's embarrassing himself. At least the other bosses had an excuse. They were embryos. This guy is built like a preservative. You'd expect a little more razzmatazz. Severely wounded, Avery runs away, opening a large door and revealing a matured Patty, chained and unconscious.
Patricia.
Major underground cred, bro. We steal this, Yusuf's gonna love
Falling
it.
to his
It's a
knees,
major
Avery
fuck
chants,
you.
almost prayer-like,
But like I
an
said,
act of
it's on a
subjugation
submarine.
that allows the
We
Red
need to learn
Sea to
everything we
consume
can
and
about it
rebirth
before
him
we
into
can
his
try getting
final
on there.
twisted
So let's
form.
do some research.
A giant Boy Scout? I mean, look, I could make a few cheap jokes about this transition, but there is a clear point to it. In his stunted mental state, this is how he views himself. In his true form, we see the childlike mind he resides in. It does make sense, but I'll be damned if it's not corny. Opening fire, our attacks do little more than irritate the giant. The only way to hurt Peppy Longstockings is to attack the Walkman when his hands aren't covering it. And no, you can't just shoot the inches of space around his hand. The whole darn thing has to go. Once Avery's finally dealt with, he climbs towards Patty, wanting to look over his obsession one last time before turning to dust. All that's left to do is free Patty, but before we get her unchained,
Patricia, you've become such a beautiful young woman.
our sickness gets the better of us. Coughing, we fall to our knees, spluttering blood all over the floor. A weakened state that allows the other world to twist our reality.
You should have just let me die, just like you did with all the others. You let them all die.
This scene is probably one of the best in the game. Consumed by the loss of Emily, the kidnapping of Patty, and the loss of York, Zack finds himself at rock bottom, utterly broken, unable to fight anymore.
I lived on to accomplish nothing. Please, take me to the other side.
But someone's waiting in the wings, ready to embrace him, to take the pain away.
York.
No, it's me, Zach. Come on, give me your hand, old man.
within reach, we're left with one choice, to give in to the Red Seed. An act Kaysen's pushed us towards for countless years, since we were little more than a child. And upon accepting, it's over for Zack. The Red Seed finally wins, transforming him into a giant tree-like beast. This occurrence is exactly what Aaliyah's been warning us about from the very start. When you gaze long enough into the void gazes into you. And after having tracked us down, she's ready to put a stop to it.
Is that you, Morgan? Francis Zack Morgan. Your story, your reasoning. I accept most of it. So just put your hands down and give it up. I'll take it from here.
Looking through Zack's eyes, we see the room masked in a red haze. There's a timer counting down and dozens of items we can interact with, all of which do nothing but waste time. And if the clock runs out, we go full nut job and murder Aaliyah. This is canon in my eyes, but after finding and interacting with some leftover canisters of San Rouge, Zack makes his way towards Patty. It's not clear if we want to hurt her, but for Aaliyah, seeing this beast march towards a young girl, she can't take that risk, so she takes aim. Falling to the ground, Patty somehow breaks free and runs over to Zack, barely recognizing him after all this time, but still caring for him nonetheless.
Did you change your hair color? It looks great on you.
This kindness brings Zack from his twisted form, reverting him back to normal, but it's too late. These are his final moments. He'd done what he set out to do, to protect Patty from all the evils in the world, and now the sickness is taking him.
I'm just glad I got to see how much you've grown.
Peace will have to wait though.
Morgan! Get away from her!
As Aaliyah fires her weapon through no choice of her own.
Get away before I count to 3, or I'll shoot!
Somehow, she's been possessed by Kaysen, and with Zack moments away from death, he's utterly defenseless. But there's one last surprise waiting for us.
You've become quite the crybaby since I last saw you, Zack.
York, unchanged after all these years, here to fight where Zack is too weak. Also, in a nice touch, Patty has no idea who York is. Because as we learned at the end of the first game, Zack never looked like York. It was a mental projection. Zack always had a more prominent scar and white hair, so this man was a stranger to her.
We're your old friends now and forever.
With the two merging one last time, a bizarre scene follows where Aaliyah will shoot at us while Kaysen flaps around the room like a trailer park Tinkerbell.
Aim carefully, sister.
We need to avoid shooting Aaliyah and hit Kaysen when he's not hiding behind her. A delicate balancing act because Aaliyah doesn't have much help.
Patricia Clark, I'm here to save.
Damage Kaysen enough, Aaliyah charges up a powerful shot and releases it. Something we deflect using our contract of protection. A parry that finally puts an end to Forrest Kaysen. This isn't an edit, by the way, this is just how it plays out. Arch Nemesis finally defeated, we're treated to one last scene between York, Patty, and a dying Zack, where Patty pleads for York to save his life, offering to create a new contract of protection in exchange for curing him.
York, please! Save Zack! I know you can save him!
You can only break the rules once.
So So, through the magic of friendship, the trio are transported to a pleasant forest, where Zack is cured. But before York leaves, he has a few parting words.
This is our final farewell. Thank you so much for all you've done. For all those years, you never forgot about me, did you? It's been so long since we've seen each other, but I know you always kept me in your heart. It's what kept me alive. I owe it all to you, Zack. Thank you.
This farewell is often interpreted as a goodbye or thank you from Swery directly to his fans, and I like to think of it like that. Thank you for the support, and thank you for loving the first game in spite of its flaws. And damn, it's almost cute enough to make you forgive everything leading to this moment. Almost.
Goodbye.
Having saved the day and provided Zack with a second chance at life, the game ends with one last scene.
Much blood was shed, and many precious lives were lost.
The burial of Lise, along with the conclusion to the many different plot lines the game never managed to wrap up. The sum of which is Aaliyah progressing her career and taking over the San Rouge case.
Aaliyah Davis's assistance in solving the case was officially acknowledged, and she was transferred to DCHQ. She was officially allowed to join the San Rouge Investigative Task Force.
Simon, doing literally nothing with his miserable pizza-loving life,
He was given a brand new computer and put back on data analysis. He never worked another big case. Instead, he spends most of his time in the office doing Sudoku.
and the town of Lucare finally beginning to heal.
After a very long time, life is finally starting to return to normal.
As always, Swery is a little treat waiting post-credits, this time in the form of a Skype call between a fully recovered Zack and a maturing Patty.
All the people you've met thus far, and all the things you've experienced, created the person you are now.
Best of all is that we get to see Zack and York still have a line of communication via text chat where they banter back and forth over what Patty's saying. And the entire conversation is a brilliant conclusion, seeing not only a happy ending, but also knowing that Zack hasn't lost his best friend or his life.
You're always welcome here. Bye now. Feels like today is going to be another wonderful day. Isn't that right?
I have to say, for all my criticism, the final chapter is decent. It feels reminiscent of the experience the first game offered without all the mind-numbing filler content. But by that point, it was, for me at least, too little too late.
When I die, so will this tragedy.
It is impressive to take a game that was already hated by a vast majority, and even with that exceptionally low expectation, we still managed to make a game that's disappointing.
I told you this was gonna be a pain in the butt.
I've seen people say if you like the first game, you'll like this one, but I disagree. If you liked the first game, I think you should be offended. The community is willing to put up with so much jank, and other than being a touching ending, it feels like all that compromise was thrown back in our faces, both from the content of the story and primarily by how little it respects your time.
Nothing but a shameless fetch quest.
Something that's made all the worse by glimpses of what could have been engaging tales. Danny's struggle with joining a powerful family and finding his place. Melvin being brainwashed into hating his own stepdaughter even though he's grown to love her. And Zack trying to regain his soul after the events of Greenville.
You've got excellent taste.
These are all very interesting themes, but they weren't given the slightest chance to develop, which is why the time wasted pisses me off so much. They had hours to flesh things out, to build these characters. Instead, they wasted that time making us chase dogs and collect snake skins before abruptly crowning everything into the episode's end.
Behold, flesh and blood.
Like Melvin's villainous reveal is moronic. He goes from fumbling idiot to a cultish mastermind with zero development in between.
They got hands to a weapon without any sort of safeguard in it.
Contrast that with George, the sheriff from the first game, and you can see how a reveal of this type can be nuanced and layered. He hated us from the word go, but was disguised as professional combativeness.
Just want to set things straight.
He had a childhood of abuse from his mother, which explained his distaste towards women.
He found reasons to hit.
And on multiple occasions, he would accidentally activate traps before the victim could speak. This is how you build up a twist reveal. And all of these critiques are ignoring the fact that the sequel's plot is literally a weak rehash of the first game. There's a small town sheriff that betrays us. An attractive female is murdered and placed on an altar. A transgender loony murders people as part of a larger scheme. And in the end, Forrest Case was pulling the strings all along. Also, what happened to the granddaughter we saw at the end of the director's cut? The one York named after Emily?
Hey, Grandpa, what kind of person is York?
That entire arc was completely ignored in the sequel, and almost everyone seemed okay with that. To repeat myself, my position comes from a person that pushed through the flaws of the first game and found myself loving it. I understand that making video games is very tough and criticizing them is very easy, but it's better to get somewhere slowly. Then nowhere fast. And if they can stretch the already low bar of expectation, maybe they should let York, Zach, rest for good.
This is our final farewell. Thank you so much for all you've done.
Okay, here we go. Let's find out what's in that vault. First, we need someone with the right login credentials for their security system. I tracked the rough location of a member of Duggan's security team using his phone signal. Head over there and find him.
Nightmares. No matter who you are, chances are you've had one. Run countless variations and an nightmares. No Silent Hill. Nightmares. No matter who you are, chances are you've had one. Running but getting nowhere. Screaming but making no noise. Your teeth falling out or Konami releasing another interactive Silent Hill game. There's countless variations and an infinite source of inspiration, both in real life and popular media. But what they didn't just plague our dreams, what they were made manifest, ready to hunt us down and snuff us out. That is the reality Little Nightmares envisions, a world of death, despair, and monsters. This franchise is incredibly complex, tackling countless morbid themes and presenting them from the lens of a child to staggering effect. It's not the first game to tackle this perspective, but it's damn near the best of them. A fever dream that can best be described as Hellraiser meets Studio Ghibli. And I, for one, couldn't ask for a better source of inspiration. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Little Nightmares is a celebration of every phobia known to man, and in this video we'll be exploring their deepest depths, from the metal confines of the war to the empty streets of the Pale City and every nasty crevice in between. So let's begin this little tale, one that starts, true to its name, with a nightmare. Waking from the dream, we find a small girl sleeping on a suitcase with her yellow raincoat contrasting the bleak metallic surroundings. This girl's called Six, and she's the unassuming hero of this tale. We don't know the circumstances that led her to this dingy location, or even where this dingy location is, so all we can do is push forward, moving down a dark hallway where small creatures are lurking just outside. Leaving our smaller boat, we pass through a vent and cross over a wooden bridge where we get our first look at the scale of this location, revealing a seemingly endless expanse. Impossibly large chains pass between the rusted walls with metallic crunches echoing in the distance. Something else to note is the camera itself. It's swaying back and forth like a ship lost at sea. Now, this could just be to display the dizzying scale of the environment, or maybe the environment really is swaying in some capacity. There's no way to tell from here. All we know is wherever we are, we're deep in its bowels. And just up from the stairs, there's a strange artifact hiding away to the left. A statue fashioned after a masked woman from the start of the game. The one dressed in a kimono wearing a porcelain mask, known as a no mask in Japanese performing arts. The game starts with a dream about this person, and there's even statues of them scattered around the ship, so they're clearly significant, but we just don't know to what extent. We can pick up mask in Japanese performing arts. The game starts with a dream about this person, and there's even statues of them scattered around the ship, so they're clearly significant, but we just don't know to what extent. We can pick up the statue, but we can't take it with us. So in true childlike fashion, we yeet that bitch into the abyss. Another mystery. We don't know what it does, but based on the uplifting jingle, surely it's fashioned into be things. I'm like 37% sure we're not releasing some ancient evil here. And besides, we're just silly kids having goofy fun. And of course, the good times never last, and in the following room, we get our first disturbing encounter. Dropping into a bedroom of sorts, we see a body hanging from the ceiling, only its long legs visible. Despite this shocking scene, Six displays no emotion. There's no scream or tears, she just ignores it. Granted, it's possible she's just too young to really comprehend what she's seeing, but to me, it symbolizes how violent and hopeless the world she lives in is. Based on a lack of reaction, you can assume that Six has already seen so much violence in her short life that this horrific sight means nothing. All she does is drag the chair from beneath him and use it to reach the door handle. That shit's cold. A depressing moment that contrasts perfectly with the following scene. Entering the kitchen and opening a fridge, one of the crates from earlier scatters out and hides in a crack in the wall. Following it, we discover a small, pale creature with a large cone covering its head. These are gnomes, and gnomes are our friends, like the lamp and who warm his little hands, or better yet, we can give him a big old hug. After which they'll follow us for a short while and make a bad attempt at mimicking our actions, from crouching to jumping. They're adorable, and they serve as an interactive reward for thorough exploration. With a collective 15 to find, each one is worth hunting down just for the hug alone. Gnomophobia, the irrational fear of gnomes. And I know that that's not what's happening here. We love the gnomes, but I wanted to bring that phobia to your attention because it means that someone somewhere in the world watched Romeo and Juliet and thought, wow, that's the scariest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. And that really, it just makes you think. Yes, I'm aware that this looks more like a hazmat suit than a raincoat, and yeah, I am technically cosplaying as a 9-year-old girl right now. It's not that weird. Why would you say it's weird? You're the one making it weird. But back to my point, while you can easily miss this encounter, it's likely no coincidence that it directly follows from the previous room. They're two completely different takes on life. One is hopeless and, well, over, while the other is optimistic and cute, choosing to befriend a creature that could easily have been hostile. Six isn't incapable of showing emotions. She's just selective about it. Climbing up the fridge and into the next section, we encounter the game's first enemy, a leech. There's no proper combat in Little Nightmares. Instead, if we walk anywhere near it, the leech consumes us, entrapping Six like a python and draining her dry. For now, one leech on its own, it's no problem. They're slow moving and easy to avoid. Even 2 or 3 is a breeze. But moments later,
Hi.
while chasing a
What service are you looking for?
breaks.
So, all that prep work for nothing? Okay, you're the boss. I'll get someone in to dispose of everything, and you can start again when you're ready.
Dropping us into a dark basement while a swarm of leeches closes in. The sheer volume mixed with limited visibility turns them into a real nightmare. There's a door at the far end, and getting there's a delicate ballet of running back and forth, picking up leeches and trying to loop them for a clear path. And with patience or countless retries, we break through. You'll likely notice that as a game, it plays out mechanically and thematically very similar to Playdead's Limbo and Inside games. Both feature a lost child in a hostile world, and both employ a system of environment-based storytelling. These are games you can easily play through and see nothing more than a creepy platformer with disturbing creatures, but dig a little deeper and there's mountains of theories and lore to uncover. It was developed by Tarsier Studios, a relatively small team of 77 employees located in PewDiePie Land, where, funny enough, they got their first big break assisting Media Molecule with the Little Big Planet DLC. Simple press of this button, and travel begin. Leeches avoided, we stepped into a large hallway, a connecting point between 2 different sections, except this time, something's moving above. Yeah, it's not pyramid, sorry to disappoint.
Okay, here we go. Let's find out what's in that vault.
And looking at the
First, we
location
need
ahead,
someone with the right
windows are
login
barred,
credentials
and
for their
road
security
from
system.
blankets
I
offering
tracked the
way
rough
inside.
location
It
of a
would
member
seem
of
that this
Duggan's security team using his
that
phone
this
signal.
road was
Head over
to
there
get
and find him.
inside an overtime crib, we see frozen remains of various children. Something we notice is that despite being very young, they're already far larger than 6. So you might be thinking, why is 6 so small? If these kids are little more than toddlers, how is 6 a quarter of their size? Yet she's walking around solving complex problems. To my thinking, there's two real theories. Either she's a different species to these babies altogether, or maybe 6 isn't small at all. Maybe the larger size of everything in the world reflects a childlike state, seeing the mysterious outside world as something larger than it is, something we've all done. How many times have you visited a childhood home or park many years later for the castle-like scale to be shockingly small in comparison to our memories? That, or some kid make a good game design. It's up to you. Very little in the game world is ever truly explained. This is a make your own decisions kind of game. There's no wrong answers, except for anyone that disagrees with me in any way at all. Your answers are all wrong. Whatever the case, we need to get around the island, using the environment to avoid its gaze in a Medusa-style game of hide and seek. Slipping past and exploring the upper levels, we enter an open cell, finding more leech slime under the bed and pictures of eyes screwed all across the cell. Clearly, the children were painfully aware of the eyes' presence and of what being caught mean to them. Crossing the hall, we get our first glimpse of the kitchen. But as we enter and the door slams behind us,
Visit the infinity pool on the roof deck. The infinity pool is like life. It starts fun,
it's the
then
long-armed
goes
creatures
on
from earlier,
forever.
feeling around in the darkness and looking for the source of the sound as we hide under a bed and hold our breath. After it leaves the room, we're free to explore the bedroom to our heart's content, and despite my best efforts, we can't wait for it, no matter how loud we jumped or how hard I tried to clock one on the head. The only takeaway from this encounter is that the long-armed monster, Roger, aka the janitor, is overseeing his children, and he's highly vigilant. And after climbing out of the bedroom, our stomach starts to rumble.
Assets are still going crazy, and we can make a small fortune.
At first, it's nothing to worry about. I mean, clearly the child's hungry. Who knows how long it's been since she ate? But without any warning, the rumbles turn into all-consuming pain. We're slow to a crawl, our heart is throbbing, and we keel over as if we'll die if we don't eat.
Sir.
But as luck would have it, we're just in front of the canteen, and the child is watching. And after a moment of contemplation, they stand and throw their bread through the bars, saving our lives with the tiny morsel of food they had. Something that clearly weighs heavy on them as they return to their seat and hug their legs. It's not clear when or if they'll be able to eat again, but such is the world of Little Nightmares. It's cold, unforgiving, and any act of kindness will leave you worse off with nothing in return. And with that message, Act 1 is over. The second act begins in front of a large staircase where feels like a dead end. While looking around, a gnome scurries into a closet and feeling a seat. locked room. There's no way to open it, but turning to leave, I just so happened to stand on a special tile and the door temporarily opened. And this is an important learning moment for the player. Be suspicious of your environment because there are secrets to be found. Dragging a chair across, we place it on the tile and gain entry, finding a large eye with a single button and pressing it. The eye activates, revealing an elaborate CCTV system. They're always watching, even children, while they sleep. It harks back to the George Orwell's 1984 themes of oppressive authority.
Right. Let's see which one of us can touch his toes.
It's a perverse invasion of privacy, from bedrooms to kitchens, and finally what looks like the private quarters of the masked lady. Leaving the observation room and heading deeper, we don't make it very far before hunger strikes again. This time with a haunting music track to boot. Desperate for food, we push forward and stumble across a cage, food waiting at its center. It looks like a trap, but rats are already snacking away and nothing's happening. So it's not motion activated, and even if it was, I don't think we have a choice. Which goes to show how severe the pains are. She's not only willing to put herself in danger, she's also willing to eat rotten meat that's been shared with several potentially disease-carrying rodents. Entering, we chow down on the giblets when a familiar set of arms swoop in and slam the door shut. The janitor knew exactly what he was hunting, and we took his bait like the rats themselves. Waking up sometime later, our cage is stored alongside several other kids, where it's evident they're being processed. Cage and child dragged to some unknown fate, we need to escape as quick as possible. So, by running back and forth, we're able to drop off the side and break the cage. And once freed, we make no attempt to save the other children. We can't even try, despite knowing that they're in serious trouble. We even have the audacity to use a cage as a stool, jumping from it and swinging out the room before the door shuts. This callousness, alongside her earlier indifference to the hanging man, it makes you question exactly who we're playing as. Has the cynical nature of the world really made her this indifferent to the suffering of others, or is she actually just a bad person, maybe even slightly wicked? Trying to figure out where the janitor's brought us, we eventually stumble across the man himself, engrossed in his work, where we get to see exactly what his job is.
Nu! Vezi cu Luca. Gamea și pula. Nu-mi place, nu.
The children are being reared, then taken and a butcher with a fine cut of meat before being hung on a hook conveyor belt. And this hook system alone should be an ominous sign of this operation's sheer scale. But where are these parcels going and to what end? We can only speculate, but what we do know is that it can't be good. Watching this creature work, it becomes clear that the janitor's blind, working off sound and feeling his way through the work. He wasn't touching around the child's room because it was dark. That's just how he sees the world, using his long arms like antennae. There's only one way forward though, by sneaking behind him, and after plucking up the courage, the floorboard creaks, causing the creature to turn around and inspect the area, feeling within inches of us, before walking away. The encounter reminded me a lot of Pan's Labyrinth, specifically the scene with the Pale Man, a movie that makes for a great comparison to Little Nightmares. Both feature young heroines fighting for their lives in a mysterious world where fact and fiction blur together in a horrific mess. For the rest of the level, the Six and the Janitor play a lethal game of cat and mouse, with the Janitor blocking our progression in a variety of ways, resulting in Six looking for distractions in the environment, like clapping monkeys, or the dinging of broken clocks, all of which are interspersed with heart-wrenching chase sequences where one wrong step will land us in the Janitor's long clutches. No matter where we run, this monster is always one step ahead. There's even a moment where we have to winch open a hatch, and the whole time you know it's going to hit you, so you have to speed through the turns, managing just to slip through its grasp and dropping into a vent. And inside that vent, we arrive at what looks like a disposal room, with hundreds of shoes piled up, along with other personal effects. It would seem this well-oiled machine has processed countless victims, invoking imagery of genocide as seen across various wars. But it's not just the imagery you have to worry about. Dropping down and wading through, something's lurking beneath the surface, ready to pull us down if we don't reach solid ground fast enough. Zigzagging between surfaces, we eventually reach an exit, and while mooching down a long hallway, the Janitor drops behind us, chasing Six until we reach a lift, but it's a dead end. There's nowhere to run, so we hide inside an overturned box as the beast lurches inside, searching for us.
Okay, here we go. Let's find
With the lift descending, we wait, hoping it doesn't reach into the box, and while here, we get a better look at the creature, with its big old teeth grinding harder than your average Ollie enthusiast.
head over there and find him.
And looking at his face, his skin's been pulled down, flapping over his eyes and revealing a bare skull. It would seem then that the Janitor isn't blind naturally, but rather the folds of its skin are blocking its vision. It's as if his mask of humanity has slipped, and being blind to the horrors occurring was the only way he could maintain his work. And if we look at any of the most famous monsters ever made, the Cenobites, Freddy Krueger, Slenderman, Skylar White,
My name is Skylar White, young.
you'd be hard-pressed to find any monster that doesn't at least have a basis in human anatomy, and that's how Little Nightmares goes about designing their monsters. They're all disturbing, but all based on caricatures of the human form, with gross sizes or gangly limbs, and it's as effective here as it's always been. Also, with the fedora, the long hands, and even the ear-to-ear grin, I wouldn't be surprised if this character was intended as a nightmarish version of Mr. Tickle from the Mr. Vincents. I mean, what better way to demonstrate a child's nightmare than to demonize a childhood icon? After surviving a few more tense encounters, we finally bring this chase to its climax, sliding into a dead end with a heavy door stuck on a metal cage. Reaching in with his long arms, he taps around trying to find and capture us. We avoid his arms by jumping between two platforms, and when we find an opening, dive towards the box and break its two supporting beams. Slamming the door shut, both arms are severed, rendering the Janitor a danger to no one, being both blind and armless. Oh, and in grotesquely humorous fashion, the arms will wriggle and tap around with a life of their own for a few moments, finally coming to a rest. The following level starts with a ride across the meat hook system, dangling over an impassable ridge and landing on a mound of rat bodies. And climbing down, we're instantly hit with pangs of hunger. But as luck would have it, our dinner's just been caught. A nice, juicy rat. Unlike the previous encounters, which were more or less smooth, this is a different undertaking altogether. It's a living, dirty creature, but the hunger, it's unbearable, so it must. And speaking of culinary delights, we're now in the kitchen, run by the chef. A sickly-skinned butcher with a drooping, cherub-like face, punctuated by sad, dead little eyes. It's like looking in a fucking mirror. He's preparing dishes in a large kitchen, one we must navigate carefully, making any kind of noise, and that cook will be hot on us, chasing us around the counter to the best of his limited ability. Encounters in this level offer a more traditional gameplay experience, running from monsters, hiding out of sight, and looping around the environment, trying to find a way out. Little Nightmares is often described as stealth-based, but apparently Tarsier prefer the term hide-and-seek. Feeling the term stealth might even give the slightest impression of an empowered character, and I agree, it does feel like a lethal game of hide-and-seek. This slumbering monster is too large to reach under the table, so rather than fully commit to capturing us, they chase us as a minor nuisance and continue.
Bă, dar avea nerv la opresor, băga noi și pula cel mai bun acum și care are ca venia la Stromberg, nu parcă. Ăla care e super bun e. Da, chiar ăla e super șmecher. Hai, nu o tipă. Așa o acolo putem să pula. Nu. Adică mă sare pune. Nu, e ceva așa de rău că ai destul. Nu mă la bună? Se roagă? Ce-mi place aceasta? Cine? Vorbeam mai drept, știi ce zicea? Fă tot, morțicat!
Hey there. What can I help you with?
Păi deci eu dau baf până până.
So, all that prep work for nothing? Okay, you're the boss. I'll get someone in to dispose of everything, and you can start again when you're ready.
You fucking... Ce pare, ui, drogatule? Vreau să ne-au Plushies-urile. Vreau să beau fac parte că cam așa până la Plushies. Deci nu beau asta cu căcat. Porți-mă că dă Plushie borăt. Da, de-aia. Hai, bine, Onici.
Am lovit cu cap în cap. Ai spus cumva că sunt violat. Ai spus cumva că sunt violat, da? Păi tu arăți băgania și până ca un copil de la orfenat care a fost în pula mea violată, fiecare m-a legat de acolo și mai ales dreptul de aia are. Aia negri veneau să te salveze, dar au fost împușcați de aia are de pula mea, că de aia de nici fără rasist. Că ei vă prea mult cum îi împușcau. Așa. Nu. Da. Aia! Da, ce ascultă? Liniște în țară, trebuie să-mi bag pula în copilul ăsta. Daci-mi pula mea, Alex. Nu contă ce spune ăsta acum. Băi, ascultă aici, copil. Să violat la un felinat. Ce? Ura? Asta e să o găsesc. Unde e? Ura. Sunt tomac, fără consimțământ de curăzit, da? Ca să știu. Forțează în tot. Da, am înțeles. Bă, dar vezi că o să-ți scot și eu dinții, așa frumos. Ok, chiar face ca un secret de... Și-am mult s-a oprit. Stai că nu mai arăta. Lasă că vine. Vine la tine în casă, stai dinții și după aceea la postat. Ok.
Okay, bring out your phone and search for a Wi-Fi signal we can piggyback on. And try not to look too conspicuous while you do it.
Throwing a party at your penthouse? Speak with guest services and the evidence from last night's debauchery will be cleaned right away.
Time to have some fun. You only have a limited amount of time in the secure. Find what's in that vault and sniff around for whatever else they have tucked away down there. You might find something we can use to our advantage. Gold's gonna be slower to haul out of there, but it is oh so shiny.
Gold is
Așa
gold.
au ieșit două felinat, doar că nu era care
I mean, there's gonna be a fuck high.
Come back when you're ready.
Dacă ți-o bag, desigur! Bine, fii atent, jucăm odată. Nici Dani măcar nu-și trebuie să bici pe fund. Cred de joc, îl instalezi instant. Așa, meriți pe 50.000 de euro să fiu florat, pe dacă te trebuie să bag un pano peste față, nici Dani măcar nu-și trebuie să bici pe fruntea ta.
Yeah, I got it.
Cine crezi că vorbim de gură? Hai, deci nu mai mă mă pămânul dacă nu știu. Bă, tu vii pe... Vii pe mine, hă? Nu crezi că vorbim de gură? Hai, deci nu mai mă mă pămânul dacă nu știu. Bă, tu vii pe... Vii pe mine, hă? Că, bă, hai să-ți bag acum, mă, domnul Garași. Hai, domnul Garași.
Așa faci.
So yeah, like I said, we're not repeating the same approach. No way, too hot. Let's be expecting it. We need to be smart here. We can go this way again, but it's still a bit too soon. Security's gonna be tighter and overall could be tricky. But hey, they may also be better. It's your call. I'd say go for it if you have a solid heist crew behind you. Silent and sneaky. My favorite. Schwartzman. Yeah, if you think you can handle two old divas rattling around this basement, let's get him on board. Kareem was never the best. Probably a good thing he's no longer a wheelman. Still, he should be able to source us some getaway vehicles. Yeah, every team needs a Carl. Let's hope he can find guys better than he can shoot him, huh? Did someone say drones? Because we could use Now, as I mentioned before, this is something I like to call the MCT, the Master Control Terminal. It's a little program Paige started putting together a while back. This baby connects your whole business network, from the open road to SecuroServe. From here, you can see the stock levels of any business you own, and more importantly, you can resupply and source from here too. Have full control of all your businesses from one chair. Gone are the days where people need to get up and move to control an empire. This is the digital age where the lazy rule.
Mai mult îmi pune un dezavantaj pentru tine. Are viața mică, n-are niciun timp bun. Cred că apoi logic. Și eu îți dau 9-3. Bună seara, caut și eu un cadavru de valet pe aici. Unde este? Nu? N-aveți pe aici un cadavru de valet? Cadavru de jumete. Păi caut pe aici, că zice find valet